But let's have a look at an example of a race at Ipswich on June 19 it was. Now, I want you to talk us through this. Now, this was a race at Ipswich, big day at Ipswich. Now, you framed your own market. We'll get the market up here. Now, this is your market to 100%. So you've got number 2 accessory at $5. Read My Future, you've marked at $2.05. That's a market to 100%?
It is,
your
yeah.
markets?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
So the good thing about Betfair as well is the markets generally are framed at 101% to start time on race meetings as well. So Read My Future, you've got marked at $2.05, a 17.5% edge there. Do you remember why you rated that horse favourite and why it was so short?
So these horses were stepping up to 2,400 metres, most of them for the first time. And it was a heat and final series race. So a lot of these horses had come through similar sort of races. So you're able to get a good line through, benchmarking performances out of those races. Yep. So I was looking for horses that were going to be strong at the end of 2,400 as opposed to those horses, that have just come out of those 2,000 metre races and were stepping up. So Accessory and Read My Future got, big ticks for that because they were the two horses that stood out at the trip, as well as the speed map influencing those prices as well, where they both were going to get very good runs in transit.
Well, as you can see, Shane's market's got Kipling's Journey, the 10 horse, at 14.9% under the odds. So it's a negative edge. So we'll bring the speed map up in a second, but 14.9%, that's a big unders or underlay. You looking to lay that horse, and we'll talk about why in a second.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep the grin off my face. This was a fill-up, this race, actually.
That's why you gave it to use as an example, mate. We're all over your games.
Kipling's Journey was one of those horses, for example, that was, won a heat of this race over 2,000 metres, and there was nothing in the data that suggested that it was strong at the end of 2,000. It was more that the competition was no good. And I think it came up pre-post favourite, around that sort of $4 mark or $3.80 or something.
And you looking at your market, you've marked at $9.86. So obviously you rated it a much lesser chance than the market. Absolutely. So a good opportunity to lay. We'll bring the speed map up, and I'm guessing this is a big reason why you were laying it. Because as you see this market here, Kipling's Journey, you've got back and wide. Is that how you read it? Yeah.
So gate 10 and horse didn't have a lot of speed, and the only horse that was drawn outside of it was a go forward horse. So everything that was drawn inside of Kipling's Journey was going to fall into the running line and onto the rail, which means he'd have no choice but to sit 3 wide, no cover, or go back to last.
And Ipswich isn't a track that you can do that.
No, it's a reasonably tight turning track. You sort of on a corner from about the 700 all the way around to the 250 basically. So it's and obviously it's the same, similar circumference around the back straight and the back corner out of the straight. So being a 2,400 metre race and being trapped wide and having to go all the way back to last was, is a massive negative.
And that's great intel. So you're looking at a key negative there in terms of map, but also data and ratings. And you've rated it close to $10, and it's opened half that, which is quite amazing. So you're looking to lay it. Now, you're expecting this horse to drift based on all these factors as soon as markets open. So your first play on a market like this is to lay a horse if you're expecting to drift, and that's what you did on this occasion?
Yeah, so this one... yeah, for sure. So I expected this to get out. So I was happy to chip away at the lower odds, early out. So, there's not a great deal of money in the market, like, in fairness, like early on, like before race 1. This is race 4, I think, on the day. So I'm just looking at that market and just chipping away and laying anything that's, around that sort of $5 mark or less.
It's an interesting point as well, because you don't want to put up a big price on the exchange early and give your edge away and notify people that you're keen to lay it. So a lot of the activity happens late because of that reason as well.
Absolutely. And you can, obviously you can, get programs, third-party programs with Betfair that overlay as well that can help you do that. And you can just trickle some money into the market. But on this occasion, I was just manually betting it and just taking whatever money was put up around that $5 quote.
Let's have a look at your first place. So we'll just use an arbitrary stake here of $120. You're looking to lay Kipling's Journey at that $6 mark. So that gives you a liability of $600. That's your first bet, but you're keen, obviously you've got Read My Future rated $2.05. So you've got another bet here. You can see $3.85 on the Betfair Exchange as we bring that graphic up. If you were to have 120 on that to produce your liability of 600 or whatnot, and then you have that $100 bet on Read My Future, is that how you did it on the day?
Yeah, it was. So
talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah, so on the day, I've framed these markets after scratchings and using a little bit of like fixed price stuff that goes into our algorithm as well for our pricing. So I'm having a fixed odds bet anyway. And like I've taken a horrible price compared to Betfair here. Like I've taken like 320, 310 after scratchings because I've rated it $2. Like
you just jump on that because
just
it's
of course I'm going to
naturally.
bet up thinking that the market's going to follow me here. I've got this pretty right. The data's pretty clear. I think the market will follow.
Yep.
And that's why I wanted to lay that horse as early as I could for whatever I could get out of it because I thought it would drift. But so if we just look at those odds there that are available, and you can see Read My Future's actually drifted as well from the 7 or 8 o'clock price.
Bet with care. Gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858.